Okay, so let me tell you about Dan Kennedy.
Dan Kennedy.
Dan Kennedy.
Dan Kennedy.
Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy.
Hi, this is Dan Kennedy. Regardless of your business, online, offline, or both.
I met Dan Kennedy early in my entrepreneurial journey. I was in college, actually. I remember I was trying to figure out how to do postcard marketing, and I came across this, weird old guy named Dan Kennedy. And I just remember at the time thinking, this guy has no idea what the internet is. When I got into it, I realized that what Dan was great at was all the things that actually mattered, and that it was this idea of the medium through which the marketing is done, whether it was direct mail, or heck, the Yellow Pages, or the internet. That's not the thing that actually matters. It's the message.
So I'll quickly show you. Here's a lead generation ad.
I don't think there's anybody ever, period, that has had a bigger impact in the field of direct response, advertising and marketing than Dan Kennedy.
His direct response marketing approach is what has spawned all of these companies, events, masterminds, you name it. He is a marketing master who has taught an untold number of experts that are now leading it.
I learned opportunity marketing through Dan. I learned replacement is always better than improvement. I learned a good pair of boots are always better than a good pair of shoes. They're not really lessons, they're kind of laws that you live by.
So this is an ad that ran in comic books.
He's written 30-some books, and I have all of them. Any information is as valuable in today's world as it was when he wrote the books.
That's why you want to look at the gold in the old.
It is timeless. You'll be able to get useful things that will serve you throughout life, as opposed to learning what color a button should be or how to run a particular thing in Facebook that's only good until everybody knows what that tactic is.
So the first time I heard who Dan was, or even heard his name mentioned, was actually from Russell Brunson. So I bought all the books that I could find on Amazon, and I sat down and I read all of them. And then I went and bought the courses off the GKIC website and went through probably about half of those. And that is what gave birth to the model that became Gym Launch, which ended up doing $28 million in revenue and $17 million in profit in its first full complete calendar year.
I would say that literally every dollar that I have given to Dan Kennedy, and I mean this 100% sincerely, has returned back to me 10,000-fold.
That's advertising.
We're sitting right now in one of the biggest marketing events in the world that we own. I don't think we would have ever pulled it off without the advice of Dan Kennedy.
The legend of Dan Kennedy should be ignored at your own peril.
So this is where we go for the growth.
His ripple effect touches people who don't even know his name.
Dan's work is timeless, forever, forever.
You will never, ever meet a better teacher.
I have no one to thank for that besides Dan.
If you look at all of the greatest marketers that you see today, in every industry, every market, and you start tracing back, all roads literally lead back to Dan. He was the beginning. He was where all this stuff started from. The world as we know it was changed because Dan Kennedy became obsessed with marketing.
The answer to the single most important question anybody's going to ask you as long as you're in business. Here's the question. Why should I, your prospective customer, client, or patient, choose to do business with you versus any and every other option available to me, which includes doing nothing? Any and every other option available to me. Why should I? So Rob asked the answer. Why should I?
The very first time I heard about Dan Kennedy, I had heard people talking about him, so I decided I'm going to go and find out who he is and what he talks about. And I remember I actually bought an old CD course of his on eBay. I started listening to it, and at first I did not connect with it at all. He was kind of grumpy. He was talking about these old marketing principles. I was like, this does not apply to my internet business. There's no way this is useful. And so I discounted it, I threw it away, and I stopped listening to it. And then a couple months later, my yard flooded, and I had to spend 8 hours digging out the entire thing to fix a pipe. And while I was doing that, I had nothing to listen to. This is before iPhones, before iPods, before podcasts. And so I grabbed these Dan Kennedy CDs, and I started listening to them while I was digging out my front yard. And within about an hour, I got it. I was like, oh my gosh, I almost discounted this because I thought he was talking about old school marketing, and what I didn't realize was he's talking about the foundational principles of marketing that apply to every business. And as I started learning, I became obsessed, and that was the day I became a Dan Kennedy fan. What I learned about fax marketing literally is 100% applicable to how I use my email marketing today. What I learned about him from renting lists and writing copy in direct mail are the same principles I use now on my squeeze pages, on my sales letters, and all of it relates. It's just understanding how do we take it from this channel to the channels that we use today.
You coined the phrase lead generation magnet, which a lot of people are using.
Gee, really?
It's a shocker.
And then one day, about 2 years ago, I actually got a message from Frank Kern.
Hey, dude. I've got pretty unfortunate news. My man, Dan Kennedy, he passed away last night. Dave D said they had upped his pain medication and that killed him.
I don't know the best way to explain this other than tell you that a couple days later we found out he hadn't died, but that he was on his deathbed. And I think most people on the internet thought he had passed away. In fact, I started seeing person after person posting up tributes talking about how Dan Kennedy changed their life, like the impact that he had had. It made me sit back and think about the impact he had in my life as well. In fact, Dan doesn't have an email address, so I couldn't send him an email, so I literally wrote him a fax and letting him know how much he meant to me and how he changed my life personally and the lives of so many people. All my funnel hackers had been affected because of his legacy. One of the final things he did, which was crazy, on his deathbed is he literally wrote what we call a stick letter. A stick letter is something typically when someone buys a product from you, put a stick letter they read that gets them to be more likely to stick with the product and not refund it or ship it back in.
So think about how hardcore this guy was, that on his deathbed, he's writing copy.
And he sent out to all of the members letting us know he was going to die and that we need to stay on as members and help his legacy and the things he had started, help it live on.
I already had a tremendous amount of respect for Dan, but my gosh, the stick letter copy from deathbed, that's really something.
His final act was to write a stick letter, the greatest of all time, like the GOAT, the greatest direct response marketer to ever live on this planet. And then I think all of us were kind of waiting with bated breath, like is he gonna die? Like when's he gonna die? Like what do we do? Like no one really knew what to do. And over the next couple of weeks and then eventually months, we started hearing news that like not only had he not died, but he actually was kind of recovering. And a lot of people didn't believe it. A lot of people were just like, no, he died. Like, you know, on the internet, there was rumors going both directions. And but over time, we found out that he hadn't died. And he was actually doing well, and he was getting back to work. And for me, as you know, arguably one of his biggest fans, I was like, if he's here on this earth, like I want to see like what else can I do with him? Can I pay him for consulting? Can I ask him my questions? Like all the things I would have done had I known I had time. Like I had tons of questions I always wanted to ask him about ClickFunnels. Like what would you do if you were me? Like this entire company, this entire business was built off of the foundation of the principles I learned from Dan. And I always wanted to go to him. I wanted to go to the Wizard of Oz and be like, what would you do if you were me? And where I thought I had missed that opportunity, now I thought this opportunity might be back. It was just one of those moments like, how do I reconnect with Dan? What do I want to do? And then one day I got an email. And it was an email from the person who actually owned Dan Kennedy's company saying that they were looking at selling it. I remember seeing this letter come back and I sat back and I was like, oh my gosh, like what if I could be that person who takes Dan's legacy and has an opportunity to try to extend it? Without any further ado, I want to officially announce the acquisition ClickFunnels has just acquired Magnetic Marketing, Dan Kennedy's company. I'm so excited for a couple reasons. Number one, for me as like probably Dan's biggest fan, I'm so honored to have a chance to be able to take my mentor's work and be able to take this and pass it on to the next generation of marketers. I was 20 years old when I ran into this stuff and it changed my life forever. I want to be able to bring that to the next generation of entrepreneurs and help change their life as well. That's number one. But number two, and more importantly, is for you guys. Like I want to be able to take these principles from Dan and give them to you so you have a more holistic understanding of business. Right now, all the things that people are teaching on the internet are these tactics, like the things that are here that work today but are gone tomorrow, the fleeting things. The reason why I've been in business for over 2 decades now, because my business was not built on these fly-by-night tactics. It's because I built it on a solid foundation, on strategies, the best marketers in the world. And so I'm going to be giving you guys these strategies from Dan to be able to help grow your e-com business, for you to be able to take your coaching businesses and grow them and scale them at levels you never thought were possible. Dan changed my life, and he's going to change your life as well.